North Carolina has lost 8 straight games at Virginia and hasn't won there since February 25th of 2012. Pack, it's time to break that skid, and this is the team to do it.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Friday, February 23rd, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I want to thank you for joining us to get your Tar Heels content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. Joining me is our guy, Coach Pat Kilby, back on the fold. Pack, I know we've all been saying it, brother, but our prayers have been with you and your family. The number of people reaching out with prayers on behalf of Spencer and you and the Kilby clan, man, we love you, brother.
Can I just say real quick that
please do.
First of all, I appreciate you and sharing that word, but just all the encouragement that have came from listeners, people in the Discord. It's just been a major blessing. I've been sure to pass all that along to my brother, and he's very appreciative. And so we're just grateful, and please continue to pray for him and his healing.
Yeah. Amen. Well said, buddy. Yep. Great to have you back. We missed you, but man, you were doing the right thing being with your family. Spencer, if you hear this, man, our thoughts and prayers, as Pac just said, continue to just come your way, buddy. Keep it going. Folks, this episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hey, Carolina at Virginia tomorrow, Saturday. Just want to say we will have a live podcast after the game. Looking forward to that, but it will only be on YouTube. The Locked On Network is doing some audio migration this weekend, and so can't actually post any audio shows this weekend. So video only on the live podcast. So make sure you join us following the game, win or lose. All right, Pac. Here we go. We're going to get all into getting ready for Virginia. We're going to talk about the pack line defense later on in the show, get people up to date on what that is. We'll have our Four Corners preview. But first, I said it, Carolina hasn't won in Charlottesville since basically this time 2012. What on earth? It's time to change that. Remember last year, Carolina's the game, I think it was the game at Charlottesville where Armando Bacot got hurt. Carolina basically had to piece together their front court. He played just over a minute. Lots of Justin McCoy, lots of Jalen Washington. And so just kind of a fumbling there. Carolina still almost pulled that victory out, but just couldn't do it. Great news. Corey Alexander is going to be on the call. And so let's make him eat his own Cavalier tears in this one, Pack. That would be the way to do it. In terms of AC standings, remember ACC standings, Virginia got just obliterated earlier this week at Virginia Tech. That puts them a game and a half back of Carolina. Importantly, 2 games back in the loss column, meaning that no matter what happens in this game, Carolina will still be ahead of the Cavs. However, Duke and Carolina are now tied, so you got to get this win to make sure to keep pace with the Blue Devils, who are at Wake Forest on Saturday. So, Pat, let's talk about really quickly that Virginia Tech result against Virginia. Here's why. I've been asked a lot this week. Was that a good or bad thing for Carolina that Virginia's coming off this, again, obliteration against Virginia Tech where they lost by 34? A lot of people have said, oh man, now Virginia's going to be all riled up since they just got beat. And other people say, look, they just got obliterated. They know that Carolina's coming and maybe they're not in a good way. What's your take on that as a coach?
I try as a coach, and hopefully Carolina's approach to this is I try not to really get caught up in any of that. Whether, who they've played before this. I mean, yeah, we can take that film and we can learn from it, but we don't think, oh, well, this outcome was that, so now they're going to be really fired up for this game, or this outcome was bad for Virginia because now they're going to be down in the dumps and they're not going to be ready to play. Like, you can't really read into that, because we're not there with them. We're not in their locker room. We're not in their practices. We don't know how they're going to respond. So us trying to guess that is a waste of time. But what we got to do is focus on our job and being ready to play and what's our role. How are we going to beat them? Not whether or not they're coming off of a loss being a good thing or a bad thing. And so those are the things we kind of emphasize with our team. And I hope that Carolina's taking that approach, because ultimately it doesn't matter. Virginia's been really good at home. They're playing North Carolina. They're gonna bring their best shot for UNC. That's not even in question. So we've got to be locked in, ready to roll.
Yeah, dude, I am right with you. I don't care what happened Monday in Blacksburg. That was Monday. That was like 5 days ago. It's inconsequential. Like you said, this is about Carolina being Carolina. Show up defensively, be committed to guarding for a full 30 seconds and finishing it off with a rebound. On offense, be committed to finding the best shots and taking them and making it like that's what matters. I'm not worried about that. That's how you get off pace. That's how you get into some other team's lane. So I'm right with you, Pac. I love that. But you said it. And so here's the next question. Which Virginia team is going to show up in this game? As you said, they've been a lot better at home. Just one loss. As you said, they've been pretty dreadful on the road. They have 7 losses this season. 5 of those are on the road. How about this, Pac? Here's the margin of defeat in Virginia's 7 losses. This is astounding to me. And this is in chronological order, by the way. 24, 23, 22, 16, 19, 11, 34. That means Virginia's smallest margin of defeat is 11 points. Carolina's biggest margin of defeat was 11 points to UConn. Their only double-digit loss this season. That is a vast difference between these two teams. Does that matter, though, in this game, Pac?
I think that there's definitely something that can be learned from it. And what it tells me is that Virginia doesn't play well from behind. I mean, and we know that their style it's not really conducive to that.
That's right.
Nor is it conducive to running away with large margin victories. They just play that like I compare Virginia to like a Big Ten football team. They're just going to grind the clock and take their time and keep it low scoring. And they're not going to blow you out, but there is that capability of blowing them out because we know they have limitations offensively. And so those margins are telling to me. We've just got to do our part to make sure that we are playing with the lead, not playing from behind. And even if we are playing from behind, knowing they're not going to run away with it, we can still be in this game.
Yeah, because their offense is not elite enough to do that. Now, as you kind of said, and as we all know, when you play Virginia, you're going to have fewer possessions, so they all matter. And that's what you have to be careful of is if you do get behind, don't lose your head. You know what I'm saying? Keep your wits about you, because there's this – I've seen it happen to Carolina teams before and other basketball teams playing Virginia. You get behind and it gets in your head, oh, man, we don't have enough possessions. So then you hyperly just go nuts on every possession, and then you end up screwing up because you're not just playing basketball. So if you get behind, just keep playing basketball. Just keep executing as you know you need to do. But, Pac, as you said, man, I think that is critical. It's always critical to get an early lead on the road, but particularly here, where if you get ahead, let's make it bigger than 5. A 10-point margin over Virginia is like a 25-point margin against another school. And so, make them feel that, man. Get a lead, force them to play catch up. I've often compared it to Georgia Tech football in the Paul Johnson years where they're playing that triple option. If they get behind and they're trying to play catch up the whole game, they're starting to throw passes and try to get it, and they can't. That's not what they can do. That's what you force Virginia to do. If you get them down, then they're trying to have to play faster. They're trying to have to execute differently, and they just can't. They're not built that way. And I think you're absolutely right, Pac, that all of these 7 double-digit losses are because of that. And so Carolina has to be able to get a lead and then hold down these Cavs. Can they do it, Pac? What do you think?
I think they can. And it goes back to what you were talking about. We cannot get frustrated. We have got to go in there and be ourselves time and time again. What Virginia does is they don't beat themselves. They make you beat yourself. They force you out of your comfort zone. by just being solid all the time. And so we can't get frustrated. We got to go in there and take care of the ball. We got to get the pace of play up and get that lead and then maintain it. And I think that we can do that. Now, I don't think it'll be easy, but I definitely think this team is capable of that, especially given how we've got Armando and RJ who have seen this Virginia team what feels like a trillion times. So we've got some experience in those two going into Charlottesville.
Yeah, as you said, they are great at turnover percentage, 9th in the nation. Turnovers on just 13%. And then they do pretty good job on forcing turnovers, doing that on 20% of other teams' possessions. That's good for 32nd. So a great point, Pack. Carolina has to take care of the ball because Virginia certainly is as well. Now, here's the deal, friends. What the key person in doing this and making sure that Carolina is doing what they need to do is Elliot Cadeau, the freshman, the least experienced person on this team, but he's the head of the snake against this Virginia defense. Oh, that's critical. What else is coming up in the Four Corners preview along with Elliot Cadeau being critical? We'll talk about that in just a second. Right after I tell you that this episode is brought to you our brand new sponsor, Ibotta. Grocery bills are so expensive these days, but now they don't have to be because you can start getting cash back on your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time you shop. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user pack, how about this, earns $256 extra back a year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip and more. Other apps give you points that don't amount too much, but with Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and then you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank or PayPal, gift cards, whatever it is. Right now, how about this? Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying the app. The code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, use that when you register, and that'll get you that $5 free. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE to earn a free $5 just for trying. All right, folks, it's our four-corner preview as we get ready for this game. I'll start us off, Pack. Number one. I said it, setting this segment up, but Elliot Cadeau is critical in this game for a couple of reasons. Number one, this defense wants you to mess up. It wants to force you to do things that you're uncomfortable with. And who is vulnerable to that? Young, inexperienced guards. And hello, that's Elliot Cadeau. Not that he's inexperienced as a basketball player, just in college, because it's his first year. This will be his first time facing Virginia. And I'm telling you, it's something different than you've ever seen, folks. Just trust me on that. So Elliot is going to have to be on his game. What I'm thankful for, here's the good news. If he is struggling some, there's a guy named RJ Davis that has a little bit of experience against this team. There's a guy named Seth Trimble, same thing. So there is help for Elliot. And Pack, here's the other good news. Even the transfers coming in bring with them experience either against the pack line or in it. Obviously, all four Carolina returners have played against it. Cormac Ryan transferred within the ACC, so he saw it when he was at Notre Dame. Jalen Withers played it when he was at Louisville, or played against it at Louisville, so he's seen it. And guess what? Here's some news. I'm stealing Pack's thunder here, but I'm going to give him the credit for it. I didn't realize this, but Stanford plays the pack line defense. So that's what Harrison Ingram has been playing the last 2 years. And probably, I guess, Cormac Ryan did it too his first year when he was at Stanford. So not only have Carolina guys experience playing against it, Harrison Ingram has done it. He knows the principles. He knows what to do. He knows how to get to the weaknesses. I think that's key, Pack, for this team. But let's first go back, though, to talking about Elliot Cadeau. What are your thoughts about what he needs to do?
Well, his foot speed is going to be critical.
Well, that is so true. Great point.
Because the best way to beat the pack line is to beat them down the court and put pressure on them early. And he's going to be able to provide that, hopefully. And so just his foot speed and his ability to attack gaps and force help, force rotations that aren't exactly ideal for the pack line. That's what's going to be critical for him, and then him making the right reads off of that. So it won't be easy, but if he can do a good job of that, then that I think is going to be very, very critical for Carolina's success.
How does it help with Harrison having played in it the past 2 years?
Well, just knowing the strengths of it, the weaknesses of it, and most of our guys probably know that already because, like you mentioned, these guys have played against it before. But Harrison, he's going to know, like, especially the way he plays and the way he kind of backs down into the post himself and the way they double out of those post rotations defensively.
Yeah.
He's going to know how to pass out of that. And he's going to be able to talk to Armando about where he might see weaknesses when he's passing out of doubles. And so he can share some of that wisdom with his teammates. And I think that's going to be crucial.
I hadn't thought about that side of it really quick, is that obviously they're going to double Armando, but I hadn't thought about that Harrison will probably get doubled too if he goes into his post kind of old man post up game. So that'll be interesting to see. Anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. You're just fine. I was going to say, let's just flow right into point two, which is tempo. And that goes back to the importance of Elliot Cadeau. And any time that we're playing, Carolina's playing Virginia, the pace of play is a massive emphasis in the game because obviously Virginia, like we've mentioned, they're slow, slug it out, fewer possessions, and Carolina wants to get up and down the floor. And we've got to try to control that. And so Cadeau's foot speed, getting down the court, putting them in tough positions early is going to be critical. Can our bigs get paint touches early before they can get set and get their rotations in? All of those things are going to be massive. And so Carolina's got to get they've got to get out in transition on made baskets and missed baskets. I think that'll be really, really important for us.
All right. Four Corners point number 3. We've already kind of gotten to this, but let's really kind of dive in a little bit more. How important the points in the paint are going to be in this game. Let's think back to the loss at Syracuse last week, where Carolina, who had obliterated Syracuse at points in the paint in the first matchup, was tied with them 32 points each. But then Carolina, boy, did they get back to those points in the paint against Virginia Tech last Saturday. Carolina has to do that again in this game. Own the points in the paint. Virginia doesn't play with really big bigs like as they have it sometimes. And so there's a little bit less threat on the front court part of the pack line defense. But Armando Bacot, the doubles are when he receives a post entry pass, the doubles are going to come hard and fast and quickly. So he's got to be ready. He's got to be ready to make a move and either score or pass out, as you were talking about with Harrison Ingram, like Harrison being able to let him know, like, hey, here's where you can find those attack points as you pass out of those doubles, unless you're able to make a move quick enough to get off a shot. And so, we saw Carolina do this some really well against, in fact, the first bucket against Virginia Tech last week, Mondo got doubled. He skipped it to the corner to, I think it was Elliot, who got it to RJ on the wing, back to Cormac Ryan, wide open 3. Like that precision of ball movement, I think is critical to force, as you were saying, Pack, the defense to get into over rotations that are all jacked up. Then Carolina can win that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be crucial. I think just making – I think you mentioned this, but just making the quick read and knowing when you catch the ball, am I going to score or am I filling this double and finding an open teammate is going to be massive. And playing off of your over rotations and things of that nature that you just mentioned, the fourth four corner here is going to be the ability to get to the free throw line. Can we get them to over rotate? Can we attack bad closeouts and get to the paint and get to the free throw line? There's been a kind of a rough stretch here for Carolina before the Virginia Tech game. We just weren't getting to the free throw line quite as much.
That's right.
And now with the Virginia Tech game, we found our footing again. And so it's going to be crucial to see how we handle Virginia's defense as far as being able to create opportunities to get to the free throw line. We all know that's been a massive, massive part of our offensive game plan. can we get to the free throw line and hit them, but also not put the other team on the free throw line as much. And so we've got to find those opportunities to take advantage of that because, like we've said time and time again, every point against Virginia will be crucial, and those free throws are going to add up for us.
Yeah. And something I love about the point you made there is I think people so often think you get those rotations against the pack line and then you got to shoot over it. Man, if they're closing out poorly, as you talk about, pump fake and go, man. Get past them. Let Elliot or whoever use that foot speed to drive, get to the rim and draw fouls, or draw a defender, dump off to Armando and do that. And so lots of possibilities there, man. And I really want to see, because we talked about Mondo, going back to the points in the paint really quick. It's not just about him operating quickly. It's about teammates getting to the spots they need to be, precision cuts, finding the gaps, etc., to help him out with that. So, Pack, we've been talking a lot about this pack line defense. What exactly is it? Because I know a lot of people probably hear us talk about it, maybe don't know the principles or what it is. So I think it'll be helpful to tell people what to look for when they see this game on Saturday. So Pack's going to unpack that a little bit for us here in just a second, plus get us ready for Virginia. And we'll talk a little bit about a weekend wrap up and what else is going on in Carolina athletics. All that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. North Carolina, the wait is almost over. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Tar Heel State. On March 11th, you'll finally be able to bet on all your favorite teams in all your favorite sports. With FanDuel, there's tons of ways for you to get in on this action. You can bet on everything from the money line to over-unders to which team's going to win this year's second Tobacco Road rivalry. And oh boy, do you know the answer to that one already. All of this on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, with live betting, you can bet on things like who's going to score the next bucket or the one after that. So come see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon so you can be the first to know when FanDuel goes live in North Carolina. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, Virginia in the Tony Bennett era has been a defensive juggernaut, and it's all because of what we call the pack line defense. I think people hear it, and maybe they don't always know what it is. So, Pack, would you, in pretty easy to understand terms, explain for us the basic principles and what Virginia is trying to do to mess you up?
Absolutely, yeah. So, quick little history nugget on the pack line defense. Many basketball minds will tell you that Dick Bennett, Tony Bennett's dad, is the creator of the pack line defense. And so this has been something that Dick Bennett ran, and now he's passed on to Tony Bennett. It's been a staple of Virginia basketball. What pack line defense is essentially exactly what it sounds like. They're packing the paint, and they're trying to say, we're not going to let you beat us off the dribble. We're going to try to keep you in front. And we're going to force you to take threes or long twos, but we're not going to let you get to the paint and collapse our defense and get us doing a lot of those over rotations like we talked about earlier. They're just trying to get back and keep everything in front of them and make you earn it the hard way. And so that's essentially what that is with the pack line. And, man, they do just a really, really good job of it. And they always seem to control the pace. They play physically. They rebound really well, and they make you earn every single bucket that you get.
Man, that's good. And so something that's always been helpful to me in thinking about it is imagine that a couple feet inside the three-point line, there's like this inner arc, and the four defenders who aren't guarding the ball are like on or inside that line, but the man guarding the ball is like right up on him in your face, causing problems. But those other four defenders are kind of halfway spaced between their man and the ball, so that if there is dribble penetration, which that man on the ball is kind of daring you to do, I can stunt, kind of force you to slow down, but have enough time to recover to my man in case you try to throw it to him. And so my job is to get back to my man quickly after stunning out to try to get on that ball carrier and just wreak havoc like Pack is talking about, man. I love that. It's frustrating to play against, but if you do the work, you can beat this defense. Sometimes it takes shooting, as Pack talked about. A lot of times I've seen through the years, it's vulnerable to baseline drives. And so if Elliot or RJ, Cormac, whomever can get outside and attack it that way, draw defenders, dish off to Armando or Harrison or Jay Wash underneath or what is, get some dunks, any of those kind of things. And again, sometimes you can slither through the defense. It's tough to do because, again, they're packed into that paint. But boy, if you can do it, it is helpful. Pack, this is a moment where I think it's helpful to remember also that the ball moves faster than human beings' feet. Why does that matter against this defense?
Well, it goes back to what we talked about, in the pack line, a traditional half-court defense, you're in deny, and you're up forcing the ball out of the passing lanes, whereas in pack line, there's not anyone there to deny the passing lane. So that ball can get to zipping around the perimeter really quick, and you can get that defense shifting, and then you can hopefully, like you mentioned, attack baseline or attack gaps where the defense might be vulnerable. And I think that's a really crucial thing for Carolina, especially the way this team has been moving the basketball and their unselfishness. We're going to be able to zip it around based on their lack of denial in the passing lanes. It'll just be, can we take advantage of it when we do get that?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't just pass it around the perimeter for passing's sake. Like, be intentional with passes. And as we've said a lot on the show, double teams come hard and fast to the post. So Armando or Harrison or whomever has to be ready to go. In pick and roll defense, they're going to hedge out hard and kind of force you back. The trap will come if you don't make good foot decisions with what you're doing. So, man, it is tough to go against.
Can I touch on that really quick? That I think, just to kind of give you guys an idea, knowing Hubert and the way he does his offense, we're going to see Carolina do a lot of what I call pre-snap motion. So they're going to be doing some actions with Armando before he comes to set the ball screen. And the reason for that is they're hoping that Armando's defender gets caught up in some other action so that when he comes to set that ball screen, he's not ready to hard hedge like Virginia likes to do. And
allowing Elliot or RJ to get around quicker.
Exactly. We can turn the corner and we can play ball off of it. So watch for that whenever you're watching the game. Watch for a lot of Armando actions before he comes to set the ball screen.
Man, that's a good word, Pack. I will definitely be on the lookout for that. Well, Mr. Kilby, would you get us ready? Let us know a little bit about this game and about the Cavaliers.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is our lone regular season game with the Cavs. UNC at Virginia, Saturday, February 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, following Duke at Wake Forest. Go Deeks. Hopefully that one will be over before Carolina tips off, but knowing our luck, it won't be. Ken Palm line, UNC is favored by 4. Series record, UNC leads 134-62. We've played 5 times in the Hubert Davis era, and the Heels are 3-2 in those 5 games. Virginia is coached by Tony Bennett, who is, this will really shock me, is in his 15th season. It does not feel like he's been there that long. Virginia currently unranked in the AP poll, unranked in the Locked On College basketball poll, 48th in the net. So this is a quad 1 game. 66th at Ken Palm. Their offense is 165. Their defense is 9th. So like we've talked about, just a stellar defense from the Cavs.
And we haven't really talked about Carolina's defense, which is so critical, Pack. But, man, that's going to be a key factor. I know Virginia's offense isn't great, but still they are methodical, and Carolina's going to have to be disciplined. Keep going.
Yeah, they're going to test our discipline defensively for sure. So far, Virginia's best non-conference wins, Florida on a neutral site, and then Texas A&M. Best ACC wins at Clemson, first Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and at Florida State. They do have some kind of some rough losses. Lost to Wisconsin, which hasn't been a bad loss. Wisconsin's proved to be all right. At Memphis, ACC losses. This is where it gets kind of rough. They've lost to Notre Dame, at NC State, at Wake Forest, versus Pitt, and then they obviously took that drubbing to Virginia Tech on Monday. Players to watch for Virginia, Reese Beekman, who's been there for his 19th season, is a
hey, Clark's gone. Can we
yeah, finally. Senior 6'3" guard, averaging 13.9 points, 5.8 assists, and 3.2 rebounds. Isaac McNeely, sophomore guard, 6'4", 12.4 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 46% from three on 5.3 attempts. That's crazy good. Ryan Dunn, sophomore 6'8" guard, 8.6 points, 7 rebounds. And then Jacob Groves is a senior for them, 6'7" guard, 7.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 49% from three on 2.9 attempts. So they've got a couple guys that they're efficient from the 3-point line. So we need to keep an eye on that. Usual starters: Reese Beekman, Ryan Dunn, Isaac McNeely, Andrew Rohde, and Jordan Minor.
Yeah, man, good stuff, Pack. Thanks for getting us ready for them. Virginia does go deep. We'll definitely see guys off the bench, typically kind of similar to Carolina. They're playing 8, but differently than Carolina. Like, all of those dudes are getting double-digit minutes in the game. So the depth both ways could be a key factor in this one. Pack, let me run us through the weekend whip around really quick. Women's basketball, big-time victory on Thursday night at home over NC State, 80-70. Lexi Donarski led 5 different Tar Heels in double figures. She had 23. Alyssa Utsby, surprise, had a double-double, 13 and 11. The ladies are back in action Sunday at 2 on ACC Network in Blacksburg at Virginia Tech. That's a tough place to go and play, man. That Virginia Tech Hokies team just kind of seems to have Tar Heels numbered. Let's get it. Wrestling versus Duke tonight, 7 p.m. on ACC Network. Women's tennis kicks off ACC play down in Florida. Both teams down there this weekend. At Florida State today, 4 p.m. At Miami Sunday at noon. Baseball has a weekend series at home against ECU. Friday, 5 p.m. on ACC Network, Saturday, 2 p.m., and Sunday, 2 p.m. on ESPN+. Softball, playing 2 games every day this weekend. Just kind of a rotating thing of Lipscomb, George Washington, and Mount St. Mary's. So go check that schedule. Women's lacrosse, 2 matches this weekend. Today at number 15, Virginia, 5 on ACC Network. And then Sunday, they host High Point, 1 o'clock, also on ACC Network Extra. Men's lacrosse against Johns Hopkins tomorrow, Saturday at noon on ACC Network Extra. I'm telling you, man, winter and spring sports are all going. There's more. Stay with me. Men's golf has 2 different things going on this weekend. Starting Saturday, they are at the Wolfpack individual in Raleigh. And then on Sunday, some other parts of the men's golf team are in Las Vegas for the Southern Highlands Collegiate. Swimming, track, and fencing are all in the ACC championship mode right now. So best to all those teams as they compete for the conference. And then finally, gymnastics is in action tonight, 7:30 at Clemson on ACC Network Extra. One other team I want to mention, our guy Pack got a big W on Thursday night. Carl Albert did. They're back in action tonight again against a team that they've already beaten twice this year by 40. They win that game. They're in the final 16, right, Pack, in the state of Oklahoma, Class 5. So great job for the Titans there. Keep it rolling, Pack. We'll be keeping tabs on that. Also, Coach Rob's Milligan team won on Wednesday night. Great stuff there for the Buffaloes. Guys, going to be a great game tomorrow. Have to break this losing streak at Charlottesville. Pack and I both believe that the Tar Heels can do that. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, you're missing out and you need to get in on it. The link is in the show notes. The live game thread will be going off on Saturday afternoon. If you haven't subscribed on video and audio to Locked On Tar Heels, please do that so you always know when stuff goes live on YouTube. Hit that bell so you get a notification when we go live with the live postcast after the game. If you're watching on YouTube, also smash the like button so we know you are here. All right, that's it. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow after the game with a hopefully big Tar Heels dub. But until then, peace.